Welcome back to my story time part 2. So I accidentally cut the video off. I don't know what happened. I think I accidentally pressed end. But so this is part 2. So if you just checked out part 2, go ahead and check out part 1 because the story would make a lot more sense. But let's just get started. Okay. So I left off I left off when a boy was there and I didn't know what he was doing. So I asked him, I'm like, why are you here? And he was like, oh, I fell in the mud really badly. My dad's gonna bring me clothes. I was like, of course, they're boys. Like, boys are always messy. Like, no offense, but boys are actually very messy, especially when it comes to mud. And that particular boy was messy. He sweat a lot, and it was really messy. And so after that, the office lady came in and she's like, here's a Band-Aid if you want. You can go into the restroom, pull up your pants, and put the Band-Aid on it. I was like, okay. So I went to the restroom, pulled on my pants, and put the Band-Aid on, and I came out, and, it happened. And so after that, so his dad came, right? His dad came, and he brought him clothes. He changed into them, and he went back to class. So I was there alone for a while, and so the lady came. She's like, your teacher's gonna send somebody up to bring your backpack. I was like, okay. And so a few minutes later, a couple minutes later, like 7 minutes later, she was like, oh, here's your backpack now. I was like, okay. So I grabbed it, and so I just was there reading. Well, I wasn't reading. I was just there waiting. And I really had nothing to do because usually all my books are in my desk, and at the end of the day, I usually always put my books inside my backpack so when I get home, I can read. And so I obviously did not have my books in my backpack because they were in my desk, and so I was bored, and so I just was digging through my backpack, seeing what I can do for fun, and so I ended up with a notebook and a pencil. So I just, I was just there doing whatever, just drawing grapes. I don't know why. And that was just like the first thing that came to my mind. And so I basically was just there for a while, for about 5 minutes, just like doing whatever. And then all of a sudden this little girl comes. It was pretty weird. She just came in and she sat on top of my, so in the waiting room we have beds. They're not actual beds, but like covers and sheets on them and pillows now. They're just like waiting beds. And so she just sat on top of mine where I was at. And she's like, what's wrong with you? I was like, oh, I fell really badly. And she's like, what are you drawing? Can I draw? I'm like, I guess. Because I didn't want to say no. She was little. She was kindergartner. And so I was like, why are you here? You seem fine. And she's like, oh, I spilled chocolate milk on me. I was like, oh, okay. And so I was there for a while, and she kind of just kept on using my notebook and wasting my papers. So I was just like, I think I'm going to put my notebook away now. She's like, wait, you don't have to. I'm going to use it. I was like, I think I'm going to put it away. And I just grabbed it from her, and I closed the book, and I put it back inside my backpack. She's like, oh, I was using it. I was like, oh, well, it's mine. I'm not trying to be rude, but she was a little bit rude and stubborn. So, and I got my pencil back. I put it in my backpack, and a couple minutes later, my mom finally came, and she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, I busted open my knee really badly. She's like, okay, and she saw all the blood on my knee, and she was like, okay, let's go, come on. She's like, I'm gonna take you to the urgent care. And so she was obviously taking me to the urgent care. And so basically after that, I went to the urgent care, right? So before we went to the urgent care, we stopped by Subway. My mom was like, I'm hungry, I'm gonna get Subway really fast, okay? I was like, okay. And so she's like, first I need to check on your cut though. And I showed her, she's like, you know what, we don't got time for Subway. We need to go to the urgent care right now because this thing needs stitches. And when she said the word stitches, I automatically started bursting in tears. Because honestly, I personally am really scared of stuff. I'm a scaredy cat, I should say. I really am, honestly. So like, I was really scared. And so I basically, I started panicking again. I was crying. I was like, no, I don't want to get stitches. We just leave it as a scar and stuff like that. So I basically just, I let it go. So I had to stop crying, obviously. So we finally got to the urgent care. They brought me in. Good thing there was nobody there because it was still work hours and school hours. So nobody was really at the urgent care. And so the waiting room went by really fast. We went in, she took my blood pressure, my temperature, and all that. And she brought me to this room. It wasn't just a room, like where you just sit down on like that bed. No, it was like an actual like surgery room. It was weird. And so it got me really scared because I've never been in that room. They always put me in a certain room, so I'm used to that room, you know? And so after that, I basically just, so I was just waiting there on the bed, and it was scary for me because they put a lamp, they had a lamp ready, they had their gloves, they had everything, and soon this lady comes in, and she's like, okay honey, I'm gonna take you some x-rays because we just want to make sure your knee bone is okay, and stuff like that, okay? And so she took me x-rays, right? And after that, I came into the room and, you know, I was sitting on the bed again, and then all of a sudden the lady comes back in and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, when I was taking your x-rays, I forgot to take one picture. They actually called me on it now, so I'm going to have to let you go back to the room. I was like, okay. I didn't really mind. You know, I was just like, okay, yeah. So I went, and we took that one picture, and we were done, you know. So I went back to the room,